Let's go ahead and stop a little bit here the inner workings of the classes and so forth, and focus now on the user interface, because at this point all of the backend, as I call it, all of the models and all of the controls and everything is set up at this point, right? Because we are able to get a question bank, we have all this great stuff we've been looking at. Okay, so I think it's time for us to give us a little bit of instant gratification so we can see things actually looking good on screen. So I'm going to get rid of all of these because we don't need them at this point. Get rid of question bank. Keep it main there, but I'm going to go back to activity there. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of the hello world. Not needed anymore. Goodbye. Let's open our palette there because we'll need that. All right, so let's go ahead and start putting things together here. So at the top here, I'm going to put a text. So I'm going to text view and put there. And what I'm going to do here, of course, I'm going to put the constraints. What's new? That's fine. I'm going to put it left and right constraint. Very good. So I'm going to double click and I'm going to change the text here to say something different. So I'm going to click here because I want to make sure that I follow the resources way of doing this. I'm going to add a new string, and source name is going to be title. Value is going to be trivia. Hit enter, and we have our trivia there. But we are not going to stop there because I'm going to show you something else here. Did you know that you can actually change the font of your trivia, of your text view? Yes, you can. Well, come up here. I'm going to say font, and voila. And the cool thing is there's a lot of fonts out there that come pre-packed in Android Studio here, which is really handy. So if you click here, you can see we have all these different ones, right? Very good. And if you want more, you can click here and voila. Look at this. So many. Look at that. And so I'm looking for, what am I looking for? Let's find something very good. How about this? Chewy. I like that chewy. There we go. I'm going to just go ahead and say okay. And the moment you do that, you can quite kind of see a little bit it's there. Let's change the size. Size like that. If I can spell, of course, I'm going to say about 30. How about the biggest as possible? 36. There we go. That's pretty awesome. So we have our trivia as our title there. It looks good. Next, what are we going to do? We're going to add a card view. Now, we haven't talked about card view. Card view is yet another user interface item, another widget, user interface widget here that allows us to create some sort of a card. So it looks really nice. Okay. So to do that, we will have to import it. In fact, if you come down here and you say, for instance, card view, search for that, there it is. But you see there is this download icon here. What that means is it doesn't come pre-loaded in all of our project because it's a different separate widget, if you will. But if you drag it and try to drop it here, look what's going to happen. It's going to say you have to add that dependency. So all you have to do is say okay. You're going to take a few seconds to work with the Gradle and everything is good. Successful. That's all what we like to see. But at first here, it looks very strange because it doesn't look like anything. So we can actually click there. You see? There's those two arrows there. We can resize it. So we can make it bigger like this. And let's go ahead and be good citizens and create all of these constraints. Otherwise, we're going to have issues, as you very well know at this point. I'm going to constrain to that. I'm going to make it, put it there. Okay. That looks very good. All right. Okay, let's save this and see how this is all going to pan out on device. I'm going to make sure that we use this one always. Voila, you can see this nice card here. Adjust here a little bit. Maybe this is much better and so forth. Okay, so there we go. It's kind of hard to see here because we have the white on white, but you can kind of a little bit see it's there. All right, so we're making progress here. We have our trivia text, which is our title, and we have our card view. Now, the great thing about card view is like any other thing, you notice that the difference here is that card view has this nice lining there, this very nice shadow, if you will. So that is typical of card view because it is a card, as the name implies, right? So it has to look like a card. Now we can change a few things to it. If you click on it, you can see we have a card view attributes. So we can change the background, we can change the corner radius. In fact, if you come here and say, for instance, I want the corners to be about 5 dp, dp, like that, the corners are going to change. It's hard to see from here again, but once we run it, you're going to see the difference. Content padding, I can say I want the content inside, meaning whatever comes inside of our card here, we want the padding to be, let's say 8 dp, okay? And card elevation. The card elevation will tell us how elevated or how much of our shadow here is going to show. Okay, that's what it is. So we can change, adjust it. I like to go, I don't know, 7 dp. It's hard to type sometimes, folks. There we go. So we have that. If you save that, and let's see if we run. All right, you can see the difference here right now. Right, so now the elevation went up a little bit, which means it's more noticeable. Okay, there's this detachment between the card and the background outside. So that's really nice. So the next thing we're going to do here is to add buttons. Okay, so we're going to have about 4 buttons. So false, true, and then next and previous. Let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to come here. First button I'm going to put here, it's going to be just right about there. I'm going to put another one just there. And next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a left and a right image button. Now I'm going to use image button because I want to be able to add an icon. All right. You've seen that before. So I'm going to go and find an image button here, if I can see it. In fact, I can just come here, say buttons, image button. I'm going to take one and put it right there. And of course, the first time you put an image button, it's going to say, well, because it is an image button, we need to put something. We just put avatars like that. Oh, look at that. You can put all sort of things, right? Oh, it could be scenic. Very cool. All of this stuff comes with Android. So at this point here, let's see project. Okay, I'm just going to put that for now because we don't have anything yet. There we go. So we have our avatar. In fact, I don't have to do that. I know what I want. Let's do that again. I think I lost it. Let's put it there. I'm going to say Android. And at this point, I want next or I want previous. Right, you can search and say previous like that. We've seen that before. And say OK. And you can see there it is, our previous there. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing to the right here. In this case, it's going to be next. Very good. So it's looking pretty cool, but we need to add, of course, our constraints here. So I'm going to put this constraint to the right, and this is going to be constraint to this one. And let's see, that one there, and this one there. And I want to make sure that all of these guys have this constraint as well. There we go. And so will you too. Very good. So we have all of these constraints here, and we can look at our component tree and see we still have this button here that has trouble. All right, looks like we need to add this constraint to the right like that. And we can adjust it to make it at least center like this. That looks good. That's decent enough. Very good. So of course we have to add some IDs to our buttons here, right? So let's go ahead and say ID. So that's going to be prev button. Say yes. I'm going to change the text here. This is going to be true. Let's create new string here, true text or title, true. There we go. While we're here, let's add ID. So this is going to be true button. Don't ask me again to this section. There we go. And this button here, we're going to say false. So let's go ahead and create that resource there. False title, false. There we go. I think we have the ID. Did I put ID? Let me just make sure. Yes. Oh, no, there's no ID. Huh. So this is going to be false button. Very good. And of course, this is going to be next button such. All is good. Of course, we're missing this content description here attribute on the image. Actually go inside image button. I'm going to just put a description here. Content description to do, as I say. I'm going to say previous button like that. Of course, we'll have to extract this. That sounds good. And for the next one too, I'm going to say next button. That's all good. All right. Just like that, we are done. Go back to our design here. Everything looks good. Let's give it a quick run here so we can see how things are looking for now. Okay, very good. Not too bad. There's buttons there. Very plain, but that's not a problem. So what are we going to do next is we're going to make this a little bit bigger, and we're going to add a counter here. So this is going to be where we're going to say, for instance, 0 out of 900 questions and so forth. And that's going to be updated dynamically as well. Let's just do that to get, to get it all done, so we don't have to think about it. All right, let me make this much bigger so I can move things around, and because we have all these constraints, nothing really shifts. Everything shifts together. So let's put another text, as I said here. This text is going to be right about there. To the right. Oops. It looks like it's not working for me anymore. When things happen like that, usually what I do, I come to text here and look at the text and get rid of, oh, this is not the right one, and do all over again. So I'm going to save this and go back to design. It happens, folks. This is just technology. Sometimes things don't work. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to just, this one is going to be there, and I'm going to put one there. Okay, very good. So I want to make this thing actually wrap content, that's good. And here I'm going to add the ID of counter text. Okay, just enter. And for now, I'm going to just double click. Let's go to text, and I'm going to just say something like resource here, because we can. Counter questions like this, 0 out of 100. Just so we have some sort of text there, okay? There we go. And what are we going to do? We can actually change the font if we wish to do so. Let's go to more. Oh, let's go back to Chewy. There we go. And we can change the size to be perhaps 18. So let's say wrap content. There we go. All right, that looks decently okay there. Okay, so again, when it comes to doing all of this user interface, this is where you can go crazy because there's so many things you can do here, right? But at least we have something that's looking decently. Let's go ahead and run this one more time. And voila, 0 out of 100. That looks good. Everything, the user interface is great. So next thing we're going to do here is actually change these colors here. And then we should be ready to then go back to code and start. And the other thing we're going to do is also change the color of the background. And of course of our toolbar at the top as well. Okay, we'll kind of see that in the next video.